up? It's Tyler again. I kind of figured that I'd make a video about 5 Tucktec tips that I kind of wish I knew about right as soon as I got this kayak. Just very small, little things that I think that aren't too intrusive to the hull or to the kayak as a whole. You just kind of, they're real small things that can be easily reversed. And some are just like accessory tips, things to have in the kayak that I think are kind of important. And really, I guess they could go for almost any kayak, but especially this one. So the first thing that I'm going to do is roll this out. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to do that now. Okay. So basically, one of the first things, and it's something honestly that I see a lot of people talking about, and I've kind of tried to pay attention and think of some sort of solution, or maybe not even so much a solution, but a way to help, is the Skeg. So whenever I first got the kayak in, the Skeg again it seems like it may have been tied wrongly or woven through the kayak wrongly. It was actually, I'm going to use this little camera and you'll have a frame there. It was actually behind this pin here, and it went under the pin and then to the Skeg. I have since untied it, untied the little knot, and put the knot back through, but not around that pin. That seems to have really allowed me to be able to adjust the Skeg. So I think that that's one important thing to know if you have problems with this thing. And if it bends, just bend it back. This stuff is, I mean, look at these points that it's bending at. It's taking those, and you're not even doing that. These are huge bends. So I've seen people use like a hair dryer or like a heat gun, and just, you don't even really have to get them that hot. Whenever I notice that I build this and I put it on the ground and maybe it curls up pretty good, I literally just bend it. Like, look, okay, I just bent it. It's a little cold out here. It's not too bad. The humidity is really high, but I mean, you can, like, it's bent now and you can tell, but I can just bend it straight back, and it's perfectly fine. But don't be afraid to kind of bend that thing. And if you notice that it goes under this pin, I would suggest maybe adjusting that and retying it, because I think that's a pretty common thing that I see people talk about, is that deal. Now the next thing, let me set this up with an introduction, because this thing is a very famous thing around where people talk about these kayaks. So one moment. This pesky contraption, the good old gear bar. Boy, do I see so many people saying that they absolutely despise this thing. I'm going to tell you now, I still don't think that I fully, and this is my fault. A lot of the problems, now I'll say this now, a lot of the problems that I see people having with a lot of things about this kayak are user error. And the fact that I don't know how to put this gear bar in, totally my fault. We're going to get down and dirty here in a minute. I'm going to kind of show you how I've learned to secure this thing. A lot of people say they don't know what this is for, and I've done a lot of research to try and find out. And I actually did see that someone got an actual a statement from Tucktec saying that this does provide stability support, and that makes sense. Kind of when you're in the kayak, you got the seat in. I don't have the seat installed right now, but it feels like if you had some stability here in these seams, that it would kind of keep, I don't know, keep tension. I'm no engineer here, but it seems like it would keep tension outward towards the top of the top of the kayak, where some pretty rigid stuff's happening, and kind of help it feel a little bit more stable. Now, again, I don't think that it will buckle unless you put weird pressure in weird places on this thing. I've not had a single issue with it at all as far as feeling like it's going to buckle or anything like that. But it does feel like that gives it a little bit of support. If you put, when I lift up, when I'm in the kayak on the water, I do that, and I make sure to do it at one of, like, this point or this point whenever I do, because it doesn't, like, doesn't mess with the integrity of the stability of the kayak for me. Okay, so the gear bar. From what I've heard, man, people put it in these support holes. These two things here. I'll be frank with you, because I'm here to be honest. I didn't really notice these until just now. So to be honest with you, kind of seems like that's really a good idea. I'm gonna get in this and I'm gonna try to. Let me show you what I'm talking about. These small things, you know, they're rivets, but they've got like a plastic washer on the outside, kind of. And those are not in the front, and I know that the gear bar goes in the back, so that's exactly where they go on. So hey, we're learning something together, where to put the gear bar on at. But yeah, so let's do that. I mean, let's do it. I've seen a lot of people say to do this when you install this, so we'll give that a go. I mean, what the heck? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I've just discovered something, and all of this stuff is not really needed now. A lot of people do say that even when they do secure it in their kayak, when they get in the water, it tends to pop out. So maybe now I have that to you know, observe and see if it works, because I didn't really realize that those rivets with those plastic washers were there. I'm being completely transparent with you and honest. So so yeah, this turned into a gear bar tutorial. There are rivets with plastic washers on them towards the back fold points on the sides of the kayak, and that's how you put the gear bar on. There's that. Jeez. But I wanted to, one of the next Tucktec tips that I wanted to share with you was what to have in this thing. You know, you get the kayak in and you're like, okay, time to go in the water. But I'm telling you, there are some things that you really need to put in the kayak with you every time you take it out, in my opinion. I feel like these things are things that you cannot. One of them's kind of a safety thing. One of them's I don't know. These are things that you need to have. I think that every time I go out, even I go out on different case uses, I guess, you know, like sometimes I want to go just mainly fish, and sometimes I want to go just kayak with friends or something. So but this is stuff that I feel like you put in the kayak when you pull it into the water, period. Doesn't matter. The first one is going to be a dry bag. Dry bags are really nice because they're waterproof and they float if you use them right. This one is not really folded up very good, but as you can kind of see, what you do with it is you've got the thing itself, and then you essentially just fold it up a few times. I think they say usually dry bags come with like an instruction, and they kind of tell you how many times. But I mean, then you buckle it, and it is not letting air out. So yes, if you put some shoes in there that are stinky or something, you're going to smell that. I mean, this right here will not, it literally will not lose the air inside of it. It's like super hard. So, you know, anything weird happens, if you drop your bag, it's floating, and that's pretty nice. So there's the first thing that I feel like is something that's vital. The next thing, and these two things are kind of similar, but I'm going to give them both their fair shake. A microfiber towel. As you can see, whenever I rolled this thing out, I stepped on it. These microfiber towels, they're great for wiping this thing inside out and keeping it clean. Whenever I roll mine up, I wipe it out. Whenever I roll it out, I have to wipe it out too sometimes. It's a little dewy out here, so. And I mean, you know, for minor splashes that you get inside of the kayak, you can kind of dry those up really quickly. So I think this is a vital. Now, when things get a little more serious and you get a little bit more water than you anticipate, a sponge. This is a tire sponge that I actually grabbed the first day that I came out, and it's done me good. So I really plan on keeping it in the kayak, I guess, until it falls completely apart. But when you get a lot of water inside, and some people even say to carry like a small bail bucket or something like that, but I think this does a really good job of swiping out any, you may get water inside of it when you step into it. So I think this thing does a really good job of helping you get a lot of water out. And by a lot, I mean like a puddle, a decent puddle that's in there. The microfiber towel is more for like just spray or whatever, but that sponge will do good with anything that kind of tends to accumulate below the seat. You can just kind of take it and swipe it, absorb it, and toss it, and wring it out right there beside you. So I think the sponge is a vital thing. Next thing, and this isn't even really so much really a big thing, but a small dry bag as well. So you can kind of just keep like your valuables or your wallet and your phone and stuff like that. And they do the same exact thing. They fold up a few times. These are so inexpensive. I got these on sale on Amazon for $12 as a pair. If you watch the deals, you might be able to find something nice. But yeah, a small dry bag, that's kind of like a supplementary thing. Okay, and then the next thing, seriously, is some cordage. You need some kind of rope. I haven't had to use either of these in any situation, but I see situations where it might be pretty beneficial. Like if I kind of just want to chill somewhere, or maybe tie a kayak together with somebody and kind of tow them, or vice versa, have them tow me, or just anything. I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of like again, I haven't used it, but I think that it's a thing that every single time I come out here, I'm going to make sure that I have this in there, just because you never know what could happen, and you never know when you might just need to, I don't know, tie off to something. So, and there's a carabiner that I keep on the front of that bag that I can use with this stuff too. So, and the next thing I'm going to show you, I want to throw a disclaimer. I am not an expert at this, okay? I've only been kayaking now with a Tucktec kayak for just a little while, but I feel like a lot of people are having a lot of issues with getting in and out of this thing, and I think that it's something important to show, something that's a good tip for when you get this thing. This is not like other kayaks. It weighs significantly less than a lot of other kayaks, and I feel like that just changes things up. And I don't know if this is even what I'll be telling you out there is any different from another kayak, but what I do know is I see a lot of people saying that they have issues with this. So we're going to go out and I'm going to show you how I do it, and I've had virtually no problem every time. And I feel like it could be I have two ways that I get into the kayak, and I feel like either of these could be for anybody, and I feel like either one could maybe help you out. So let's go out on the water and let's do this. Okay, I tried to get a little bit exaggeratory here with the incline that we're looking at. I think I did a pretty good job. This is honestly probably sitting at about a 30-degree angle. This is exactly what you don't want to do. You don't want to come in straight or try to drop in straight and get in it and take off straight. No. In my experience, and from a lot of people that I read, I had to get a lot of advice about it just before I went out and made a fool of myself. But parallel is the way. So essentially, people will take their boats, and if they have something like a lake bank or a creek bank or something like that, this is the way to dock in and out, as far as I'm concerned. But just starting sideways, and to be frank with you, there's a little bit of a shelf here too, but it's going to be okay because of the way that I get into this. So let me adjust the camera. Okay. Now again, I feel like there's no real right way to doing this, but I feel like there is a pretty decent amount of technique that you can get off of other people to kind of help you get down how to do this better. So the way that works for you may be a little bit different than the way that's working for me. But I have two ways. So let me put my life jacket on. There's two ways that I go about it. The second way I'll show you in a second might be a little bit wacky, but it really works every time I've done it. So I'm kind of sticking with it. But the first one, whenever you're this low and you have this much of a bank, you can probably try to get in with your knees, but the biggest thing is not tipping this. You don't want to get in one side and make it tip over. So always try to keep yourself balanced in the center of it whenever you're trying to do things. I don't want to get much soot in the kayak, but the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to start by putting my feet in the center, a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, and kind of keeping a little bit with the ground too, because that'll help. It's kind of all a plop too, so you'll probably end up plopping down a little bit. I got a little bit of dirt in here, no water, not a single drop of water. So that's the first way. The second way that I have is kind of funny, but it works, especially if you're in a place where you might get water in your kayak. And I guess I'll show you that now. Getting out's kind of the same way. You kind of want to, like, if you lean, you want to lean towards land. You put weight there, and then you can kind of step out. Now, you might need somebody to help you, and that's not even all that crazy. I feel like if I had somebody to help me sometimes, it would probably be a little bit better. Okay, the next way that I usually get in, and this is if I'm in water and I don't really want to get much into the kayak. It's kind of going to be hard to do in this, but I'm going to do it for the video. What I'll do is I'll step in the water on one side, and this is a risky one, okay? I'll step in the water on one side, and I'll kind of shake my shoe out. I'll flip it over it, and then I kind of just plop into it. And I let my shoes wring out of water before I put them in the kayak. But that's a pretty funny one. My friend saw me do that the other day and couldn't stop laughing, so figured I'd share that one with you. But yeah, the next thing we're going to talk about is something you can do for your paddles to make them not track water as much. And I wish I would have known this from the beginning, because I was really like trying to make sure that I didn't get any water in. First off, water doesn't come in all that much anyways. And secondly, there is a surefire way to make sure that doesn't happen. So we'll go over that now. All right, the sun's decking me right in the face, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm kind of trying to get over here where there's not as much sun. It's just so crazy, and when I say this, hopefully you've either already done it or something, because it's wild how I didn't really realize how it just changes everything. But if you get some Gulf wax or something similar to that, and you just wax your paddles, water will wick off of them a lot quicker than if they weren't waxed. And I didn't really realize that. And then as soon as I heard about it, I was like, this is obviously going to help, because surfers, they do their thing with the wax, and it's kind of all funny. So I'm kind of getting into some. But it's pretty simple. Essentially, you just take the entire fin, the entirety of the entire fin, and you just wax it and just dump wax on it. I would show you, but I actually don't have any wax right now. I've already waxed mine. I left my wax at home. But I will link a YouTube video. The YouTube video that I watched that kind of told me about how I could do that. And it blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's insane. Because I saw a lot of people saying that they had problems with that, and that is not a fault of the kayak at all. That's just a fault of the paddles you get, and I really think it depends on the angle that you paddle at, like literally the angle that you paddle. People say to do it at a really low angle, and that helps too, but waxing your paddles, it's kind of a no-brainer. Now at this point, I'm dragging a stick, a giant stick. Now at this point, I think I'm just gonna kind of enjoy what's going on around here. We got some really nice views. There's some ducks nearby. A kingfisher keeps flying down, and I don't know if there he is. No, that's not it. There's a duck. There's a mallard. This place down here in Lake Cumberland is filled with a ton of diversity as far as like I don't know, it's just so awesome. And I love this kayak, and I love being able to get out in it and then being able to go back to my car and fold it up and just leave and not have to pack it on top of my car. That seems like such a hassle, but may not be, but I'm missing out on that aspect of everything. So, but yeah, I guess really that's it. I just kind of wanted to drop a few things that I know are really vital to having a really good time the first time you take out your Tucktec.